Yeah, glad to hear that it was amazing. So, amazing in what sense, if I may?
Yeah, you may. The question was crystal clear,
Mm,
and the content was so easy to write. Like you can be as fluent as you can while you're writing. Thank you
nice.
very much, Doctor, for the amazing question. Really.
I mean, I'm glad to hear that some of you found the whole exam experience nice. Can we listen to other people?
May I?
Yeah, Maram, go ahead.
Yes,
If you,
there.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there were really, يعني هيك, I was so happy. I was so stressed out because this is my final course and like I want to get my GPA up. I was so stressed that I wouldn't يعني, do well, but I was so happy when I read the questions like immediately. هيك, I was really relieved when I read them. Thank you so much, Doctor.
You're welcome, Maram, and good luck, طبعا. Let's have Diana comment on the exam, the
Yes,
MTA.
Doctor.
Yeah,
Actually, it was nice because I based on your discussions and the lectures. It's really were helpful for me. But sometimes I wanted to discuss more, but I wanted just to stick with the questions. So
yeah, that's good.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was really nice. It's just like a kind of discussions. I didn't just find it as an exam. So you
that's
give us the free space just to discuss whatever we want according to our
mm,
course, of course.
yeah, that's a nice feel. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Diala. Um, Anybody else wanting to comment on the MTA? Okay, I'm so happy that you guys found the exam accessible and easy to write about. That's interesting. Again, what comes after the MTA is no different. Where the focus would be on Tom Midnight's Garden, which is another interesting piece of work. So how much do we know about it? Because I have already sent you a recording that I had from last semester. I don't know whether you have gone through it. I mean, judging from the number of views on my YouTube channel, most of you went through it. So if you haven't, raise your hand. Those who haven't watched the video that I sent, raise your hands. Those who haven't, not those who have. If you haven't watched the video, the recording of the lecture that I had, that this was obviously the first lecture that I gave last semester. So Mariam didn't, right? Okay. Hadil also didn't perhaps have the chance, and Aya, Bara.
Yes, sir, but is it okay that I watch a summary and I read a summary about it?
It's not about what you watch. My question is whether you have watched the video that I
Yeah, not the
sent or
video.
not.
Yeah, not the
No,
video.
that's fine. That's fine. I just wanted to know. The same applies to Hadil. She didn't have the chance to kind of watch it, and also Mariam. Okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you. Please drop your hands. So I take it that the rest have watched the video. And so what did you make out of the video? How much do you now know about Tom's Midnight God, judging from what you have listened to? And then we'll move on to other things like Barat did her own research and others. Let's start with those who have watched the video. Maram, let's start with Maram.
Okay, so Tom's Midnight Garden, it's about magical experiences in a mysterious garden. Um, Tom is sent to stay with his aunt and uncle in an apartment because his brother had measles. Um, Tom Tom discovers this garden and he meets this girl, Hattie, and then he notices that uh, he starts a friendship with Hattie. They start to meet in the garden. He notices that he is growing older each passing day in the real world, but Hattie remains in the same age in the garden. Um,
Are we confusing? Because obviously it's the reverse. I mean, Hattie
yeah, yeah, yeah.
grows, yeah, while
He
Tom
remains,
remains the same. Yes, or
yes,
at
yeah,
least the pace is different. Hattie grows very rapidly and very fast, while Tom, I mean,
remains.
grows like any other human being. It takes steps and strides. Yeah, go on, Yamara.
Okay. Um, Uh, okay, then Tom researches the history of the house he learns that Hattie has lived there as a child. Um, and he realizes that he has been traveling back in time each night. The novel was published in 1958. Am I correct? Yes, okay. The novel also it discusses multiple themes, time and aging, magic and mystery, and emotional connections.
It's lovely.
Also, also nostalgia. Um,
Yeah,
shall I go on?
great. That's fine. You're doing great. Do you have
Okay.
anything else to add? Yeah, that's fine. Go
Yes.
on if you like.
Yeah. Because I took a lot of notes.
Mm.
Okay. Uh, the themes of loss and nostalgia, emphasizing the bittersweet nature of memories and passing the time. Tom's Midnight Garden celebrated its beautifully crafted narrative. It explores the complexities of time, memory, and human relationship
Okay.
in a way that resonates with readers of all ages.
Okay, Mara. Thank you so much. Let's go all the way to Bara. Bara, what do you have to say about the novel?
Yes, Madame did a really great job, but let me highlight the themes because I really love the themes. Let's start with time and memory. And for time and memory, like the center to the story is the exploration of the time. Tom experienced time differently in the Midnight Garden, where he meets Hattie from the Victorian era. Let's go for the imagination and fantasy. So we have many movies and novels about it. The Midnight Garden serves a fantastical realm where imaginations come alive. It's a place where ordinary rules of time and space do not apply, allowing Tom and Hattie to explore and adventure together. The novel celebrates the power of imagination to create alternate realities. Let's see for maybe I can say family and relationships. Yeah, for dynamics within Tom extended like the family, particularly his relationship with his aunt and uncle. Okay, shape his experience in the story. The novel portrays different forms of familiar relationships and explores how they influence individual identities and experiences. Maybe I can say also nostalgia and longing. Both Tom and Hattie like experience a sense of nostalgia for their um, different perspective times and places. Tom longs for the grandeur of the past garden, while Hattie yearns of the freedom of childhood because actually she's an old woman. She is not a child or kid. The novel evokes sense of longing for what has been lost or cannot came back again. So, to be honest, it's a timeless tale of friendship, nostalgia, and passage of time, blending elements of fantasy and historical fiction. It was so beautiful, to be honest, to read about it, and so happy and excited to discuss it.
Okay, Bara, thank you so much. You did an
My
excellent
pleasure.
job. Yeah, thank you. I think Aya was raising her hand. Was it Aya or somebody? Sarah, I think. Sarah was raising her hand. Sarah, would you like to say something?
Oh no, doctor, she said it all my colleagues.
Nice. Anybody else? Okay. So this is if we talk on the level of themes and ideas. Let's talk about the technicalities. Then, and this is actually what makes a novel a novel. It's not the themes, because themes can be expressed in different genres. But what is normally what distinguishes a novel from perhaps another novel would be the techniques deployed by the writer. Did you notice that there is a measure and an element of fantasy to the novel? The fact that we're talking about a magical garden, and obviously in life we don't have, we do have gardens, of course, but they are not magical, right? So this is magic, magic realism, if you like, where you start with reality, but you don't, and you never end there. You have those flights of the imagination, which you use perhaps to for entertainment purposes, and also sometimes you're trying to fly away from the here and the now. The here and the now is not um, beautiful. There are lots of issues and problems and struggles. So you go with your imagination and your mind, and you go somewhere in order to relieve yourself of the pains, the pressures, the cares, and the worries. And this is partly what is happening in this novel, where obviously Tom was um, struggling with the idea that he's separated from his brother, and he wanted to kind of find some kind of compensation. That's why we have the idea of the magic or the magical garden, where he's going to be taken every night to a totally different period in the past, which is the Victorian age. There is a great deal of talk about why the Victorian age and no uh, time, not a different time period. And critics are polarized over the significance of the Victorian age, and also whether the writer is trying to glorify the Victorian age, and was the Victorian age really a glorified and a glorious part of British history, given the fact that um, it's not always what your eye or your eyes meet on the surface. It is true that we're talking about the British Empire during the Victorian age. It is true that we're talking about um, the heights, the imperial heights that the British Empire reached. But it is also true that there were miseries and poverty and lots of redundant working individuals. So there is a great deal of talk about this time slip kind of thing, and where and why and how and all those kinds of things. So again, it's a fantasy, and because when obviously in life you don't have those trips to the past or forward to the future. We don't have that yet. Um, so to go to the past and go and relive experiences in the past, and a past that you don't belong to. I mean, you belong to a different generation. Obviously, this is significant, and it may mean a lot of things, and it may mean different things to different people, like I said. I think whenever I teach this course, I start with this thought experiment, and I ask people whether they would like to join a trip on either the past or the future. And some people love the past, and they would love to kind of join this hypothetical trip to the past. And some people would opt for the future. So what kind of people are you? Are you into the past? If you're given the opportunity to go to the past, So let's agree on how many would like to be given the opportunity to go to the past. Raise your hands. Um, yes. So we have Maram, and your name is always Shop. Yeah, Shay. Is it
It's
Shayma?
Soha.
So
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
This is the
So
third course I take with you, and
uh,
always the same problem we have.
طيب, يعني you're not blaming me for it, right?
Yes,
Because
yes,
it's
no, no, no. I
it's
know.
chopped.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, I know.
Okay. So how would you like to go with us to the past or wait until we organize a trip to the future?
Well, I would go to the past.
Okay. So which past is it? Yeah, let me give you choices. Is it like ancient? I mean, we're talking about ancient times or something from perhaps 50 years back. And is it our Arab past or you're talking about world? I mean, yeah, you need to tell us about that. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was talking about my life, the
Your
past of my.
past.
But if it's
That's fine. I mean, tell us what you have on your mind, and then see.
there are some choices that I made,
Hmm.
and there is always the idea of what if I changed my
You
choices.
mean if you go
Yes,
back, you wouldn't have done what you have done, right?
yes,
You
some
made
choices.
choices and you're not very happy about them.
Yes, but in general life, I would go
Mm.
to the future. I want to see what's
Mm.
going on in the future.
When we talk about the future, we talk about how many years from now?
Like maybe 30 years from now.
30 years from now. So what do you think will happen in 30 years?
That's why I want to know.
To know.
Yes.
Okay. What do you want to happen?
Well, I
In
want to see if there is still wars in the world,
mm,
or would we live in a peace finally? I want to
mm,
know.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we also have Maram wanting to go to the past, obviously, right?
Yes, doctor. Actually, I
Mm.
was waiting for you to ask this question
Mm.
because I
Mm.
noticed that in the beginning of your lecture,
Mm.
the video that you sent. Yeah,
Mm.
okay. First of all, I would like to highlight that I have um, a wild imagination because I
Mm.
watched a lot of movies growing up about going to the, Back to the Future.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, I
Mm.
watched them all.
Mm.
And
Nice.
there's another movie called Click by Adam Sandler where he has this remote control where he fast forward
Mhm.
significant moments when he has work or he's fighting with his wife. Anyway, yeah, I would love to go back to the past, to my past,
Mm.
because I am like currently I see myself. I am a mature person. Couple of years earlier, I was not that mature, and I have made some wrong decisions. And uh, I don't listen to anybody but myself. So it would be
Mm.
nice to go back to when I was 10 years old and I would tell myself, hey, me,
You
this is
mean you're talking about 2 years back, right? Um, and are you 12?
no, no. When I would like to, I would like to go back to when I was 10 years old.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And I would tell myself to make the right decisions when it comes to this and this and this.
Mm. Mm.
And I would tell myself that, hey, this is you from the future. So listen to me, trust me.
Mm.
um, yeah, that's it.
Well, I would say I think I don't know. This applies to the future and also to the past when you were like 10 or something. If you still remember this very beautiful verse which says لو علمتم الغيب لاخترتم الواقع. I would say that never regret something that you have done. I mean, and also because simply because we don't have this control Z in life where you don't have those um, keys that you use so that you can go back and undo what you have done. What you have done, what is done is cannot be undone, according to Macbeth in this very famous Shakespeare's play. What we can do is that we learn from those so-called errors and mistakes, and mashallah, you guys are young. You still have time to redeem yourselves and to start afresh. So it's never too late. And the idea that you're acknowledging that there were wrong or bad choices is in and of itself very redemptive. But thank you for opening up with us. I mean, whether we're talking about Maram or I think somebody else, Soha also said that she made choices that she was not so happy about. But take it easy on yourselves, please. You are, mashallah, very nice people. If you ask me, I mean, from your reactions and what you say and what you do, you're nice. I mean, you still have your 50 years ahead. You can still have very bright futures. Let's thank you, Maram. Thank you so much. Let's go to Diala. Are you from the past team or the future?
Yes.
Wallahi?
Actually, I'm from future, but if I have the opportunity to visit the past, I will just visit it just to look for a particular historical past time,
Mm,
such
mm,
as the Islamic Golden Age, which was a period of scientific, culture, and economic flourishing in the Islamic world,
mm,
contributing with, mashallah, significant modern science and all kind of science. If
mm,
another time I wanted to visit, it's the time of colonization and imperialism, studying the impact of European colonization on various regions such as Africa, Asia, America, and all around the world. How the crueler for understanding the contributing global inequalities, culture exchange, and all kind of conflicts. This is really what I really wanted to see, because I believe that this time of history, it will just give me all kind of lessons that I needed in my life, even in the future.
nice. Mm. Again, it's when you talk about glorious periods of time like the Islamic civilization, where we're talking about perhaps the between the eighth or the ninth century until the 11th and the 12th century. These were great periods, and they are very inspirational, and I think we need them in our world of late, where obviously as Muslims and as Arabs, we're not so happy about what we're doing and what is being done to us. Hopefully, when people go to those Islamic, glorious Islamic periods, they have enough inspiration so that they can change the realities and the world and everything in between. Anybody else? Past? The train is moving to the past. We're going backwards to the past. Final call. Okay, it's interesting that people have this forward-looking visions, and I assume if you're not into the past, you would like to see your future. So if you would like to go with us to the future, raise your hands. Maram, can I ask you to drop your hand because you belong to the past like me?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So, how many? We have Rawan wanting to go to the future, Sarah, Bara. Do we have other people? And because we have two. Okay. Okay, we have Bara, Rawan, Sarah. Let's start with Rawan.
Yes, doctor.
Do you have a particular period in mind in the future where you want to know about what you want to join the future in how many years time? In 30, 50, 100, what?
Actually, 30. because I
Mm.
want to see what it will happen to the events around me.
You mean you're talking on the personal level or on the human and the
No,
regional and the world personal?
personal.
Hmm. Okay. I'm sure you're familiar with the fact that you also you can almost tell about the future, your future from now. You can create your own future if you study very well, and that this is what you actually are doing. I think you can chart a future for yourself, right? A bright one. I mean, given the fact that you're exerting efforts, you're taking it very seriously. Okay, let's move to Sarah.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, you want to go with us to the future, right?
Yes. Yes, please. ASAP.
So you're holding the future in your hands, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
So so
Actually, for her, I can't wait to see her as
ربنا
a.
يخليها لك يا رب.
Thank you, Dr. Allah
Yeah.
Yasaadak. She's
Mm.
only 8 months old now, and I named her Misk, and hopefully her life will be as good smelling as Misk. And
ما
I want
شاء
to see
الله.
her like next to me, and the
Mm.
same relationship I've got with my mother. And I can't wait to see the future with her.
Inshallah, it's going to be يعني a bright, beautiful,
Inshallah.
sweet future, inshallah.
Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome. Let's go to Bara.
Yes, sir. Sometimes I think in a really different way, like what will happen in the future, especially in the politics. Like, yeah, will World War the Third one will happen or not? Is that
Mm.
something God to say? But the wheel of life is fast, and capitalism destroys people, and we are actually growing up. Of course, like may Allah protect us all, but inshallah khair.
Inshallah, inshallah. We're all يعني pinning our hopes on a different future.
Amen.
Future, devoid of wars and miseries and civil wars and um, fighting, whether internal, no sectarian differences. People come together and reconcile.
And
And
united
it's
again.
yes, and it's not that we're hoping um, for people to live happily ever after, because this is obviously difficult, but at least people should live in peace, right? And then they fend for themselves. I mean, they pursue their ambitions, and it's up to them whether to succeed or not. But to have an atmosphere where everybody is fighting with everybody else, this is very depressing, and this is very frustrating. Anybody else? Let me choose somebody, or perhaps people who didn't, who stay on the fence. They don't want to go to the past, and they don't want to go to the future either. Let's have Zahra. Zahra, you're keeping a low profile today, which is very unlike you.
Yeah, I know, doctor, and excuse my voice. I'm a little
Ah,
bit sick these
uh,
days, actually. But yeah, I would like to participate, but excuse my voice.
that's fine.
So
Yeah, if
I
this is if
believe
yeah,
as I
wait,
was.
wait. If this is tiring you, that's fine. You don't have
No, no,
to.
no, no,
No,
doctor, it's okay.
yeah,
But I was just like, I'm sorry for my voice. That's it.
that's fine. That's fine.
So I'd like to go to the future, of course, and I'm looking for more prospered Middle East.
Mm,
And more specific details about my country, specifically with the vision of 2030. I want to see what's
nice.
that like, and I want to see the World Cup that we will uh, host, and I want to see,
Nice.
in general, more prospered and flourished Arab countries, Middle East. I want to see a free Palestine in the future. Um,
MashaAllah.
I want to see, countries like Iraq and Syria are prospered again, and they are in the middle of the top developed countries. That's
Nice.
that's actually my dream. Yeah,
Yeah, and this is
yeah. I
very,
would
very
go to the future.
This is very beautiful. These are very sweet feelings, and those are very sweet, promising things that you are
Yeah, and I
thinking of.
believe
That's
that
it.
this is coming in somehow, Yeah, I believe things are getting better. I believe we believe in God. Inshallah. All of us we see free Palestine, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. Somebody was kind of raising her hand. I don't, I haven't seen the name. Okay, so lots of promise. You guys are um, full of promise. I promise you. And it's my wish that you keep away from the enemies of promise, because there are enemies of promise. Promise are people like you, mashallah, very um, particular about what you're wishing and hoping for. And it's only that you need to kind of be resilient about what you're asking and hoping for. You keep following the path that you will be charting for yourselves, and you never get dismayed by distractors from here or there, whether political or social or any otherwise. Okay, let me choose one more person and then we are on our way. Mariam Radwan. Okay, so
Yes, doctor.
yeah, Mariam, you're not telling us whether you would go to the future or to the past.
Well, I think personally I would like to go to the past.
Mm,
It was, I know it was full of like the very, I think to the 40s or the
mm,
30s. I know it was full of wars and diseases and all of that. But I think life back then was much simpler than now. I would
mm,
like to experience this kind of life.
mm.
Uh, and if we look at the, like now, we also still have wars and diseases, but life is very complex, and I
Yeah,
would like to experience a simpler one.
yeah. So you're trying to say that in terms of fighting and wars, it never ended. We still have
Yeah,
wars around, but
unfortunately.
perhaps what complicates things would be now that we also have other distractors, technology and
Yeah, life
uh,
is very fast and
yeah,
distracting.
yes, nice. Yeah. Okay. So this is actually what the whole uh, um, novel is about. The fact that we're having a boy who wants to go to the past. I mean, on the surface level, in order to kind of find some diversion away from too much thinking of his brother. Obviously, he's separated from his brother because his brother has contracted a disease and then it's contagious. So obviously, because of the bond that he has with his brother, I mean, he cannot survive the trauma of being separated from him. The only thing that will take his thinking and his mind away from his brother would be to start something very strange and very fantastic, which was the idea of having of finding this garden, and when he walked into it, it took him all the way to the past. Again, it took him a number of generations back in time, where he met a playmate by the name of Hattie. Hattie is a girl, and like playmates, they spend nice time together. But what, as readers, we notice that Hattie is growing obviously faster than he does. And we come to the realization at the end that Hattie is not the child that he thought she was. She is a grown up individual. She is even like a mother or a grandmother, and she perhaps was reliving her past, her childhood. The novel ends on a note that is up for grabs in terms of interpretations. We don't know whether the end is sad or perhaps hopeful. It can be sad because Tom comes to the realization that Hattie is not the child that he thought she was, and she is an old woman. She is even the land lady of the house that they were living in. Those optimistic readers would believe that you can't live in a dream for the rest of your life. You need to come out of the dream at one point and live life. Um, Hoping against hope that perhaps what you have lived in your dream can be fuel enough for you to perhaps change, to mature, to come to the realization that life goes on, and that you don't or you shouldn't hold on to the past. You need to let go. You need to come to the realization that life never stops, and that you need to also come to terms with the fact that you will mature, you will grow up, and at one point you may even die. So these are the realizations, and these are the pieces of wisdom that Tom will kind of take away from this fantastic journey into the past. So again, the interpretation is up for grabs. It depends on how you perceive the whole thing. So it's Tom's Midnight Garden, everyone. Let me share what I have. Now somebody's raising her hand. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so this is one of the editions. This is the cover page in one of the editions. And I would like you to look at the cover page, to look at the illustrations and tell me what it tells you. Of course, the title of the novel is Tom's Midnight Garden. Yeah, let's first of all agree on the components of the image. Let's unpack the image, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, Sarah is raising her hand, I think.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah.
About the picture or the cover of the novel.
Mm.
Is it a novel?
It is, yes.
For the first side, you can see a full moon,
Mm.
a kid in a pajamas seems lost,
Mm.
big tree, and maybe this is the fence of his home. And I don't know, maybe he's waiting for something. For me, I didn't really read
Mm.
the
Yeah, it's
novel.
good. It's good. Yeah, I don't want you to be influenced by what we said about the
Yeah,
novel. I would like you to come up with your own interpretation, and you build, and that would inform what we will say about the novel later.
okay.
Normally, when you have like a picture or a cover page where there is illustration, of course, it means something. It's not separated from the rest of the novel. It actually it reflects the
Yeah.
novel. Yeah.
For me,
Okay.
the first sight, it gave me scary vibes.
In what
Yeah,
sense? I mean, is it because is it night already?
because it's night. Yeah.
Uh, mm, uh,
Yeah, me too.
do you have an explanation for those negative vibes that you're having, or it's just a feeling?
Phobia, maybe.
Mm, mm,
I have phobia
okay.
from heights and nights, so Tom's is not the one
Uh,
for me.
you mean in the evening time is not your best?
No, I can sleep with my lamp on.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's okay. Can we have somebody else?
I have the same feeling
Yeah, what's your name, Malish? I
as
cannot
Soha.
see the Soha. Yeah, go ahead,
Yes,
yes.
I have
Yeah.
the same feeling. It's kind of scary because of the night, the trees, and also the font of
Mm-hmm.
the font also. And the boy seems like he saw something maybe scary or interesting. He is
Mm-hmm.
shocked for me.
You don't believe that he's looking for something?
Yes, he is looking for something, but this
Mm,
something either is scary or
mm.
surprising.
Perhaps
But
he's looking for himself.
no.
I mean, lost, in other words. Zahra, go ahead.
Yes, doctor. I like this cover page. It
Mm,
has terms. He's standing, and there's the full moon, and there's the tree, which represent when the tree was stricken at the beginning of the novel, which was a
mm,
turning point, a very important point in the novel.
mm,
And there's a little bit of the building, not all of it, but a little bit. And Tom is behind that building, so the building is behind him. Sorry,
mm.
which is I think he want to go out. He want to explore. He is leaving this building behind him, and he's going
Do you think
forward
he's
to the north.
exploring or running away, Zahra? Because obviously exploring is positive
I
while
think both.
running away is negative. What do you think?
I think both. In
Mm,
his case, he was escaping, of course. He was
mm,
escaping burden, and
mm,
he was escaping loneliness. But
mm,
at the same time, he has the chance to
mm,
explore in his mind the garden. And I love the title. It says Tom's Midnight Garden. I love how it says Tom's Midnight Garden. It's not just a midnight garden or any garden. It's Tom's Midnight Garden. It's his imagination garden.
mm.
And that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Zahra. So two
Can I,
things you
doctor?
have. Yeah, yeah. Let me just comment on what Zahra is saying. Yeah, that's interesting. Somebody also spoke about the fonts and how uh, perhaps crooked the font is. It's big and it can also be scary. I think the choice of the font is very significant. Again, the boy, the fact that the house is behind him, it means that perhaps he's running away from the house for some reason, something that we're going to perhaps talk more about in the near future. Okay, so I don't want to spoil it. Let's have other people talk more about it. Yeah, Diala.
Yes, doctor. The curious things in this cover page is the silence in the picture, that there is no one, no people, no animals, only Tom. He is just looking to the moon. So he just give us about the time or the correct time that he's just wanted to go out and start to discover the life or the different lives outside of the world. That it's in the night, no one there, all of the people or the animals are sleeping, he's just alone. So this kind of silence, it just give us indication that when he wanted to discover the world, It must be in the mid of the night alone. It's like there is a dialogue between himself and the moon or the other light that he wanted to discover. So
Don't you think that on a different level and on a different note, we're talking about a lonely individual? Perhaps he's fed up with the company of people and men, and that's why he's starting something. I mean, it's the feeling of loneliness that prompted him to go out in the middle of the night and explore new horizons, new realities.
yes, it can be one of the reason, but I
Mm,
believe that also he wanted to emphasize that if anyone wanted to discover something, he must to be lonely. Maybe he don't want any distributing from anyone else or any confusing. I don't know. We will see. Actually, I didn't read all of the novel, but this kind of
mm,
silence in this image, it just give
mm.
me this kind of indication.
Okay, thank you. Any more interpretation? Any more?
May I?
Yeah, what's your
Can
name?
I?
What's your
My
name?
name is Hadil.
Hadil, go ahead.
So regarding to what you have said before, it's maybe contrast my imagination. I think it's like someone. It's like a kid waking up from a nightmare and
Mm,
he's lost with his pajama.
mm,
This is what reflects my mind.
nice.
And yeah, that's what.
Oh, okay. Um, I think I heard somebody else wanting to talk. Do we still have? Yeah, go ahead. What's your name?
Maram.
Ram?
Maram, yes.
Maram, yeah. Go ahead, Yama.
Okay. So I want to start with the choice of font. Okay. It sounds like it's written. It's a handwriting. It's not typed.
Mm,
So it gave me the impression of maybe it's a handwriting of a child, and he
mm,
giving me the vibe of child
mm,
of or
mm,
child. Okay.
mm,
We have Tom is the only person in the picture.
mm,
Okay, maybe this is establishing that he is the protagonist of the story. We have the tree, stars, and the full moon, also
mm,
establishing the fact that most of the settings of the story happens at night, or
mm,
at midnight, let's say.
mm,
Not scary for me.
mm,
And the first impression I got from the first look, I when I look at the picture,
mm,
something okay, it has the magical vibe because you have the
mm.
stars, the moon, and the tree. And
Nice.
we can't see his face, so we don't
Mm,
know if he is lost or scared. But maybe
mm,
from the way he's standing, maybe he's just surprised or astonished. Maybe
mm. Yeah, curious perhaps about
yes.
what he is looking at, what he is expecting. Yeah, nice. Mm, very good. Mm, okay, let's move on. Thank you. So it's Tom's Midnight Garden. So in terms of this is obviously a novel, and the title actually sums up the different elements of a novel, where you have characters, Tom, you have the setting, and the setting here is time and place. The place is the garden, and the time is midnight. So most of the events happen at night, where you have the main character moving to the garden at midnight, and it takes him all the way to the past. So it's Tom's Midnight is a fantasy for children. So by now you know what a fantasy is. Fantasy are kinds of works where you have to suspend your disbelief. You need to believe that what is happening is true and it can happen. So it's like fairy tales, where with fairy tales you need to suspend your disbelief. You need to convince yourself that is traveling to the past can happen. Having characters from the past, having magic and magical rods and other stuff, having witches and all those kinds of things is true. So it's a fantasy, and of course, for children. And this is written by Philippa Pearce, and it was first published in 1958. The main character, like we said, is Tom, who is a boy or a modern boy living under quarantine. I mean, he is taken away from his home because for this is precautionary because his brother has contracted measles, and obviously this is very contagious. The next thing you know is that you contract the disease if you're around. So in order to kind of protect him, his family decided that he should go and live with his uncle and aunt. So he lives with his aunt and uncle in 1950 city apartment building that was a country houses between the 1880s and the 1890s. And then at night,
Doctor,
yeah, go ahead. Am I
sorry to
sharing?
interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
May I ask you what's the difference between low fantasy and fantasy in literature? And another question is, do you believe traveling through time?
Do I believe in that?
Yes, in reality.
Yeah, only in our dreams. In our dreams, you may go to the future and you also may go to the past and see things. If you have a loved one, whether you had a parent that you perhaps lost or something, you can go to the past and relive the experiences with him or her. And you can also have dreams about the future. And sometimes it's not very clear what you experience during dreams, but during the dream itself, you feel those feelings, whether it's past or so. If you ask me, it only happens in dreams, but it's in reality, no. Um, your other question about low fantasy and non-low fantasy, if you like. Low fantasy is like popular fantasy. I mean, popular in the sense it's pop in the sense that it's you have different kinds of fantasy novels, and some of them are low key. I mean, things that you can easily identify as fantasy. And sometimes you have classics, you have fantasies that are very highbrowish and very elevated. So this is the basic difference. So again, we're talking about Tom, and we're talking about this time slip thing where he goes to the past through this magical garden. Again, when he goes there, like they say, الجنة من غير ناس ما تداس, like they say. So he has to have a playmate, and he had a girl playmate by the name of Hattie. Um, she's going to stay with him, and she's going to kind of introduce him to different facets of the past. And when her time is up, she grows up and she goes to her old self, and he goes back to his life, learning lots of lessons. And one of them would be that you cannot uh, keep resisting time and growing mature. And then it's the cycle of life that nobody should stop growing. Yeah, and from the different stages of your life, child, and then you become mature, and then you become an adult, and then you arrive at this stage where sometimes people are no more. And so if you come to the realization that this will eventually happen, you are at peace. But if you're denying it, it can cause you a lot of pain and a lot of trauma. So this is the plot for those who haven't read uh, the novel yet. I'll give you like 3 minutes to read it on your own. I'll give you 3 minutes to read it, and then we'll move on. You guys have 3 minutes from now. This is a plot summary. So are you now able to connect the dots? Are you done reading? Raise your hands. Let me see how many hands we have. Okay. Okay. So this is a novel. Um, so in terms of the structure, do you think this is a traditional novel? I'm not talking about the ideas yet. I'm talking about the format. You have been exposed to so many novels. If you came that far, you're graduating and you have done enough novels to be able to make this distinction between traditional novels and non-traditional novels. So what do you think? Is this a traditional novel in terms of structure, which means that it has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has a closure? Do we have that? Raise your
Kind of.
hand. Yeah, raise your hand. Let me see hands. Okay. Sohan?
Oh, yes. I feel
Mm.
like, yes, it has beginning and closure and events.
Yeah, okay.
It's a normal novel regarding
Mm.
the structures.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I happen to agree with Soha that it is traditional in terms of how it develops, especially with this closure part, where you have a closure or you have an end. That in the end, um, sometimes people say that it's an open-ended kind of thing, where it's the interpretation of the ending is up for grabs. You don't really know whether this is a happy ending for Tom because he came to realize that life is obviously is about gaining insights into human existence, this natural growth and natural cycle of things. And sometimes you think that the ending is doesn't have this closure where things are kept open. You don't know what will happen to Hattie afterwards, or you don't even know what will happen to Tom. Is he really aware? Did he really come to the realization this is life, and you have to deal with it um, this way? I mean, and the fact that time passes and life never stops, and there is an end for everything. So the short answer would be say, yeah, it is. The short answer would be yes. The novel is traditional in terms of structure. Perhaps the themes and the ideas are not so traditional. Okay, let's talk about the elements that constitute this kind of novel that eventually contribute to it being a novel. What makes a novel a novel would be that you have characters, you have a plot, you have a setting, you have point of view, right? So, do we have that? Do we have characters, and how many are they, and who are they? Let's talk about the characters. Okay, Sarah.
So we have Tom, the main character,
Mm-hmm.
and we have his brother Peter,
Mm-hmm.
along with his uncle and aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Alan and Gwen,
Mm.
and also the other main character, Hattie, the playmate ghost.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess these all of them, and they have the neighbor who's living in the first floor. Is it the first?
The one who lives above them is Mrs. Bartholomew, who is none other than Hattie when she grows
Oh,
up, when she grows old.
yeah. Once
So,
when you finish, Doctor, I have two questions about the novel I didn't understand, so
no,
I
well,
can. Yeah.
yeah, well, just remind me towards the end,
Okay.
inshallah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So these are the characters that we have. When we talk about characters, we talk about dynamic characters, and we also talk about static characters. Statics are characters who do not have the capacity for change. They never change. You meet them at the beginning and you meet them at the end. They never have a change in attitude, in outlook on and at life. And the dynamic characters have this capacity for change. They change. The people, those characters, when you meet them at the beginning, they kind of exhibit certain features, but towards the end, they are totally different. Have we seen that happening? Do we have any dynamic characters in a novel?
Maybe Hattie.
Yeah, in what sense? I mean, by change, I don't mean changing in terms of shape, in terms of growing up physically, obviously. So you grow up, but you grow up mentally and intellectually. Does this happen to Hattie? Does she grow up mentally and intellectually?
Can
It
I
is
just
true at the beginning you have Hattie who is even younger than Tom. And at the end, we get to know that Hattie is Mrs. Porthlomo, who is old. But as you can see, we're talking about age. We're not talking about mental maturity or intellectual maturity. We're not talking about that when it comes to Porthlomo or Mrs. Porthlomo. Let's have somebody's is trying to say something. Go ahead. Mm, yeah. Who's, yeah, Diana, go ahead.
Yes, doctor. I believe in this novel that we have the dynamic character. It can be Tom's because
Only
yeah,
Tom, because this is
Tom.
the
Yeah,
apostle.
sorry. Yeah,
Yes.
Tom. Because
Mm,
we can see that there is a development in Tom character, like that he wants to discover the garden, then he wants to establish relationship with Harry, and then he know the or understanding the relationship between the time and how it's a change, how he got to the resolution and the acceptance of that there is a difference in times and there is another word, and his final يعني, final resolution or final analysis that when he discussed with Mrs. Partmillo about the things that he faced in the garden and about the truth of time, and it's all about that Harry is just a ghost. So I believe he is the dynamic character in the novel. It shows us how it's developed through the novel from beginning to the end.
yes. So Hadid, you're raising your hand. So obviously Hadid forgot that she was raising her hand. That's fine. Hadid, if you can hear us, please drop your hand. Um, again, one measure of whether the character is dynamic or flat would be the idea if you think that the character embarked on a journey from ignorance to knowledge, we call it a metaphorical or a philosophical journey, like that, the one that we have seen, for example, in Candide, if you have done Candide by Voltaire, where the character Candide is at the beginning is naive. He doesn't know much about the world. He is overly optimistic because of the influence of Bangladesh. But towards the end, he comes to the realization that he doesn't have any grounds for optimism, and life with its different types of evils, whether moral or physical, is not bearable, to say the least. So, what do you think? Do you think that Tom, however small, embarks on this kind of journey from ignorance to knowledge? Is it an epistemological kind of journey where the Tom that we meet at the end is totally different from the Tom that we meet at the beginning? So come to the mic and tell us what you think. You don't think that perhaps we're carrying it to extremes? This is what you're trying to say? That we're reading much into it? He is a simple child or boy, and this is too much. Okay, طيب. Let's move on. No, this is not what.
So,
Yeah.
Doctor, what is your answer? It is Tom the dynamic character in this novel, or no?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah,
And I'm
okay.
saying that one measure of knowing whether a character changed and as such is dynamic would be the idea that you think of him embarking on a philosophical and epistemological journey from ignorance to knowledge. So, I mean, if you apply this to Tom, you'll find that he is changed over time. He embarked on this journey. At the beginning, he lived with his uncle and aunt. He wasn't happy about it. He didn't believe that they are doing it with his his welfare and his well-being in mind at heart. He was very frustrated, but over time he comes to the realization that this was first of all meant to kind of protect him, and then he had other flashes of awareness and wisdom over the space of the novel when he meets Hattie, and then he thought that he will be playing with Hattie for an eternity and forever, only to realize that there will come a time where uh, um, this has to come to an end. She grows beyond his aspirations and dreams. She grows and she goes back to her old self as a mature woman who is getting ready to even get married while he is only a child. So he comes to the realization that life goes on and on and on, and people mature and people in, age, and they eventually die. These are the realizations at the end of this metaphoric or this epistemological and philosophical journey that we're talking about. Yes, Tom is very dynamic. Yeah. Okay, Maram.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Um, don't they share a moment where both of their timeline intersect or something?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay, like there's a crossover between their timelines.
Hmm.
Yeah, Don't they have that moment where they يعني هيك إنه إنه they
But,
التايم بيتقاطعوا.
I mean, let's define what a crossover novel is. Crossover,
Oh
it means that I mean, there is overlap in terms of time. You're talking about the present and then you slip into the past.
yes.
Okay. So if you're saying that if this is a crossover novel, the answer is yes. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. You're welcome. Sarah?
Yes, doctor. I have two questions.
Mm.
What's wrong with his brother? I didn't get it. Is he sick?
Yeah, he has measles. كان عنده حمى يعني أو بسموها
Oh,
إيه حصبة.
husband. So,
Yes.
but only Tom's goes with his uncle and aunt, and Peter, where's Peter?
Peter is left at home, and then
Oh,
they take the other child and go as far away from his other brother as they possibly can.
okay. And
Mm,
the other question, doctor, is when the clock strikes 13,
mm.
is it like open a imaginary gate when he can meet with Hattie? And why does Hattie gets older and he's not?
Perhaps you need to ask the author. This is what the whole hustle is about, obviously.
Yeah.
The idea that she is only a trigger. Yani, when you come to think
Mm,
about it,
yeah.
I think using this is perhaps my own interpretation, and I may be wrong.
Yeah.
The idea that the female character was used,
Mm,
it's she didn't come to realizations that he did. She didn't benefit much from being around, and she was a trigger so that he can learn and develop
um,
mentally, and she was only there to first of all become his companion because he needs a companion. Okay,
okay.
and then when we talk about the idea of learning, who learned and who developed mentally, it's Tom, not her.
And sorry, doctor, the last one.
Yeah, yes.
Also, you mentioned that the person who lives above them is also not real.
This is Hattie. This is the real Hattie.
This is the real Hattie. Ah,
Yes. You see, but now
okay.
you're talking about a fantastic novel.
Yeah, yeah,
Fantastic. You have to suspend your disbelief that this is happening.
yeah.
Yeah,
I get it now. Thank you, doctor.
you're welcome. Maram, are you still raising your hand?
No,
Oh,
no.
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
sorry. I
yeah,
forgot it.
that's fine. That's fine. Let's move on.
Doctor,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, can
yeah,
I
yeah,
ask just a small question before moving
yeah,
on? Why
yeah.
the narrative, why the writer chose the Victorian period time to just link it to Hattie? Is there any message that she wanted to send it to us as a reader? Or just,
Uh, no,
yani,
I mean, again, the meaning and the interpretation is up for grabs.
okay.
So why specifically the Victorian age? One of the interpretations would be that the writer is looking up to the Victorian age. Perhaps she believes that the Victorian age is the best of all possible periods. Perhaps uh, um, she looks up at the Victorian age because that was the age of the empire when the British Empire was at its heyday. I mean, it was glorious by their own measures. I mean, they colonized the whole world. When we look at it, we see that they have robbed people of their treasures, whether in India and in other parts of the world. But for them, these were moments of pride where they colonized the world. They could have dominion, political and military and everything in between. So this was glorious for them. Perhaps she is invoking the Victorian age for all those reasons. Other people would perhaps differ with her and say, no, the Victorian age was not the possible of all ages. This was a time where lots of people suffered, whether they were English or natives. You need to always remember that the Victorian age was the time when the British Empire had this dominion and dominance over other countries. India is an example, and of course, we know what they did with the Indians and how they brutalized them, how they kind of robbed them of their treasures, what they did with the West in the West Indies, what they did in other parts of the world. So it wasn't indeed a beautiful time, and even domestically, there were lots of poverty-stricken English men and women. This was obviously the time of the Industrial Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution was not all good news. So you would have this debate and controversy over the choice of the Victorian age. We don't know whether the writer was nostalgic. She was shedding, shedding nostalgic tears over this quote unquote glorious period, or why? People are confused and polarized over the meaning and the choice of the Victorian age. But as as outsiders, we may differ with the author. According to us, we don't believe that the Victorian age was the best of all possible times. It was um, full of, like I said, misery, full of greed, and full of poverty and everything. Okay, somebody's raising her hand. Sarah, are you still raising your hand from last time
Yes.
or what?
No, no, it's me
Yeah,
again. Another question.
yes, yes, go ahead.
Doctor, so in the end of the novel, what I did understand that Tom's on the final night before Tom's goes home, he didn't see Hattie, and the gate didn't open. Yeah. So
No, it's not that the gate didn't open. I mean, the whole garden vanished towards
the
the
whole
end.
garden, yeah,
Mm,
vanished.
yes.
So there was no last meeting between them.
He only met her as a grown-up
Grown
individual.
up lady.
She
Yeah.
as the lady, because while perhaps looking for the garden, he stumbled, and of course it's night already. He stumbled
Mm.
into something, and he made a big noise. So the
Ah,
neighbors kind of woke up, and among them was Mrs. Portlomo. So he had to go and apologize,
uh-huh.
and this is where they met, perhaps for the last time.
But he didn't know that was her.
Yeah, it was her.
So the author want us to like احنا نختار الclosure for leaving us with an open ending.
Hmm.
So it's up for us what happened
Yeah,
next.
yeah.
Yeah.
The interpretation is up for grabs, like I always say, and this is typical of literature. Even if it's not open-ended, you still have the choice of interpreting a work of art the way you think fit, provided that you have your own reasons and justifications.
Thank you, Dad.
And you work. I think I'll stop on this note and with this item. We still have, like, if you we can have more space for a couple of questions if you guys have any questions to ask. Remember that we're having, like I said, quiz 2 next week on Sunday, and you will have to come to the university to do the quiz, like, and it's going to start at 12 p.m. and it's only for an hour, and it's going to cover the other side of truth. We'll give you two topics, and we will ask you to choose to write on one of them. Uh, any questions?
Doctor?
Yes.
So it's gonna be like two questions of the other side of truth.
Yes.
We have to choose one.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Shaza, go ahead.
Doctor,
Yes.
did you finish the correct of our exams?
No, I'm in the middle of it, like I said earlier.
Okay, how do you see our grades?
I see them very promising and very nice.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome. Any other questions before we call it a night?
Yes, doctor, please.
Yes,
The postponed exam, the midterm postponed exam is at the same time as the quiz 2.
the first what?
Is in the same time as quiz 2. The postponed midterm exam.
It depends on the exam. I don't know. Did you postpone your MTA?
Yeah, I had some circumstances and I postponed. I wasn't able to.
Which one?
The midterm.
The midterm of EA300B, right?
Yeah, this course. Yeah.
Okay, so
So
we'll
it's
okay.
and the date is at the same time and at the same hour as quiz 2.
Yeah, okay. So what we can do, because the span is the slot is 3 hours. So 12 until 3. If you are in the MAM,
Yeah, I'm
I
the
think
main.
you're going to start
Yeah.
with the MTA because it's obviously it's priority. And
Mhm.
then when you finish, consider it a 3-hour exam. Okay,
Yeah.
and you're going to add one. So instead of answering two questions, you're going to answer three. Are you getting my point?
Yeah, doctor.
So you finish the 2 hours of the MTA and you stay for 1 more hour and do
Inshallah.
the second quiz.
Inshallah, doctor.
Okay. Good luck, inshallah. The same applies to anyone. If they happen to coincide, we didn't mean for them to coincide. You finish off the MTA first, and then you do the second quiz.
Actually, for some of us, doctor, like me, we have the two part A and B, the same time in the same day. So we will finish from the first, then we will move on to the second. The two
You
quiz.
mean you have, but I mean, you have the qu- let me get this straight.
Yeah.
You have the MTA. You have delayed or postponed the
No,
MT.
no. It's
No.
about the quiz for children literature part one
Ah.
and part two in the same day, the same time. So we have to do the
Yes.
both quizzes. Yes.
Yeah, you will, inshallah. It shouldn't be difficult, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome. Okay.
دكتور أنا آسفة بس ممكن أسأل عن موضوع الدورة. هو حنبدأ فيها في الوقت المحدد اللي أنت حددت لنا إياه صح؟
Yeah, inshallah. We're waiting for the number to kind of to complete, and we're very close to that, and we're going to start, inshallah. We're going to put you in a WhatsApp group and update you about the arrangements and everything.
Sorry, doctor, last
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, is Tom's Midnight Garden the last thing we'll be having for this course?
Yes. It is the last one, yes.
But we still have lectures next week, inshallah, right?
We still have what?
Lectures next week, right?
Oh, of course. We haven't finished. I didn't say that we have finished.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We're meeting as usual on Monday and on Tuesday, inshallah.
Doctor,
Yes.
is there any full marks in the midterm?
I haven't gone that far to judge.
Ah,
Um, um, hopefully, we will. Yeah, when I start today, or tonight rather, will inshallah we will have full marks. It
is it
depends on what
possible?
you mean. It depends on what you mean by full marks. We're talking about percentage.
Yeah,
You can have 90% and this is a full mark. You can
mm,
have 99 or so it's about the GPA rather than about the actual mark
yeah,
itself,
yeah.
right?
Unfortunately,
Yes.
did I? Can
I'm
you
not
remember?
sure.
I
I
proceed.
don't remember. I have so many Sarahs in my life.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Well, on this note and with this item, we'll come to the end of this lovely meeting. Thank you so much and have a very nice weekend. Assalamu alaikum.
You too.
I know.